As an offense, though, I mean, when you guys are only able to score 3 points, the defense only lets up 3 points. I mean, do you feel like you let the defense down at all?
No.
That's the dude that you and Chris Sims told me was the second
Chris
coming.
Sims.
Floor is
Yep.
yours.
Where was all this energy when your boy was 5-1 as a starter? That's Zach Wilson. Yes, Zach Wilson. 4 and 5.
No.
Okay, where was all this energy? Where was all this?
This energy, no.
Where
I'm
was
like
all
Dave
this?
Chappelle. No, I'm like Dave Chappelle on SNL. I've been on that. I've been on
Yeah.
Zach Wilson. I've been told you Zach Wilson couldn't complete checkdowns to save his life. I've been told you he wasn't that dude.
They do be coming in hot. So first of all,
I've been
let's start
on
with
that.
Zach.
I've been on it.
the Dallas Cowboys are America's team. But Mike McCarthy is Black America's head coach. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why Mike McCarthy is Black America's head coach, because he does things. He does things, great things, but never gets credit for it. He has set up a foundation and never gets credit for it. Okay.
You're scratching the bottom of the barrel for this, Michael.
It was Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, when Russell Wilson was good, and a couple others.
Ooh.
And I said, no, that's the truth.
How do you think this is gonna go when Ben Simmons, Brooklyn Net, takes on the Sixers?
I think it's gonna be kind of like that tooth that you need to get pulled, where you're like, you're dreading going to the dentist's office and you know it's coming.
Everyone is betting on us. The problem is the players won't bet on themselves.
Oh, there it is, right there. Mic drop. O-H-I-O. Give me the Buckeyes. Give me the Buckeyes. Buckeyes by 25. Okay. All right. Jim Trotter, you know, hey, man. Hey, I didn't want to start this way, but I've been smoked out by the BFA staff, brother from another. This staff does an incredible job. And most days of the year, 364 days a year, I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful for everything that they've done. I think I gave those props on Wednesday. But today, all of y'all dirty, and you know who you are. Everybody's dirty for putting that in at the end. Yes, yes, yes. I didn't want to start here. Let's get this out the way. Let's get it out the way. Okay? It was miserable. Saturday was miserable. It was miserable. I said Buckeyes by 25. It was just the opposite. Wolverines, second year in a row. If last year wasn't bad enough, losing in Ann Arbor by a couple of touchdowns, you go, okay, well, it was in Ann Arbor, and you know, every once in a while, Wolverines should get one. But now this is a problem. They got beat down, Jim.
Wait, did you sit through the whole thing, start to finish? Did you
I sat through the whole
watch
thing.
it start to finish?
And it kept getting worse. It was getting worse. I just knew there were like degrees of it. And I know you got something on tiers a little later. We'll talk about tiers in the pros. Let me tell you about tiers in college football. T-I-E-R-S, not T-E-A-R-S. But there were those too.
I was about to say, I know there were a few of those.
Yeah. So first half, 20-17. I didn't feel great. They were up by 3 at halftime. I didn't feel great at all. And I knew something was wrong. Now, I usually have that feeling. You know you're about to lose, whether you're playing in a game or rooting for a team, and you're up, but you don't feel comfortable. I was there. But it got worse from watching the halftime show. Urban Meyer, of all people, is shaking his head saying, yeah, former Ohio State coach who had no problems beating Michigan, Former
Right.
Ohio State coach who says, you know what? I don't like the defensive approach. They keep throwing cover 0 at this team, and it doesn't make any sense. You're not leaving yourself with any protection. And I'm so mad at Urban Meyer because I'm saying, you know what? Damn him, he's right. I don't want to agree with Urban Meyer. He's so right. They're up by 3. Then Reggie Bush says, ooh, if I'm Ohio State, I feel great. I'm taking Michigan's best punch. And I said, oh, hell, no, we haven't taken their best punch. And we're up by 3. We've given up a bunch of big plays, but we haven't taken the big best punch. But Jim, this is where it really got bad. It got so bad that my wife knows how much this game means to me. You know, when it's a blowout and the commentators start going off, they're not doing the game anymore. They're talking about big picture stuff.
Right.
Because the game is not competitive enough, so they just start off with happy talk or something else, big picture, down the road, and all. Has nothing to do with the game in front of them. My wife says to me, what if one of our kids wants to go to Michigan? What would you do?
Oh.
Okay. Now you asking me this right now? Now you asking me this? I said I'd root for our kids in the classroom. I'd root for our kids in the classroom always. And on the field, I'm rooting for the Buckeyes. Oh.
Mike, you know what I saw as I watched this game? It brought me back to one of my core beliefs about football.
What's that?
Games are won, that teams are built from the inside out. And it's great that Ohio State has all of these pretty skilled players and, the finesse and all of that. But football is an inherently violent game, as you know. I'm preaching to the choir. And you got to win up front on both sides.
Amen.
And Ohio State did neither of those things. I mean, it says something about the defensive coverage that you were going to that sort of man coverage and zero coverage at times because you say you needed bodies in the box to try and stop the run. And you were saying you're going to have to match up in man coverage on the outside. I'm like, first of all, you can't cover out there is what I saw. And even then, you still couldn't get even then, you still couldn't get pressure consistently on the quarterback. The thing I noticed was how many clean pockets that Michigan had to throw from. It was just staggering. And yet Ohio State kept doing the same thing over and over. But again, it brought me back to the fundamental belief that football has to be a down and dirty game at times. And you got to be able to win up front on both sides. And Ohio State did not do that. And hopefully Ryan Day and his staff address that when they go into recruiting this coming year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to try not to overreact to it because all the stuff I hear about Ohio State right now, I'm like, all right, fine, serves them right. And I'm probably going too far. They lost the game at home to the number 3 team in the country. They were number 2. Michigan was number 3. We've seen this before, 2006. They were both undefeated. And Ohio State won that game by 3 points. Michigan didn't get into the college football tournament that year. Ohio State did. And eventually got embarrassed in the national championship game. But look, when I hear people saying, hey, Alabama with 2 losses might leapfrog Ohio State. Now, I'm so emotional right now. I'm so hurt. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Go ahead. Give it to Alabama. Ohio State doesn't deserve to be there. But I'm like, wait a minute. Wait. Calm down. It was 1 loss, a big loss, at home to the number 3 team in the country. But it was only 1 loss. They did beat Penn State. They beat Penn State. They beat Notre Dame. They got some good wins. Come on. Let's not overreact.
Your initial reaction was the right one. Ohio State doesn't deserve to be in. And look, Ohio State had some games this season, as you know, where you're like, wait a minute. This is supposed to be a dominant club here, and I'm not seeing dominance. So,
yeah. Including Notre Dame. Including the Notre Dame game. Maryland. And like Maryland was the one where I said, uh-oh. Because I've been talking, as you know, talking big trash all year. Well, I can't wait to see Michigan. And then when Maryland took them down like to that game, forget about the final score. Those who watched it know, that final touchdown, that was just like a Maryland desperation. That was a 3-point game. That was a 3-point game late. And Ohio State was fortunate to pull the thing. I could not put Maryland away, and Maryland is not a great team. Sorry, Coach. Coach Loxley, a friend of the program, has been on a couple of times. Not a great program, not a great team. Probably a great program, not a great team. When Maryland was able to stress them like that, I said, okay.
Northwestern as well,
Michigan, right?
Northwestern as well, right?
Tough conditions.
Oh, see, I knew you were going to go there. I knew you were going to go there. Look, if you got the talent to be one of the top teams in the country, the conditions don't matter. And you know the cliche, Michael. The conditions were the same for both teams, right? That's what coaches always come back to. Look, the thing that disappointed me about this Ohio State-Michigan game, and we talked about it for a minute last week, was Jim Harbaugh is the king of petty. And so when he talked about Ryan Day hitting a triple or believing he was born on third base and hitting a triple, whatever that saying is, it was like, man, Jim, did you really have to go there? And so all year, all I heard is that for a year, Ohio State, this is what was on the calendar. This is what was circled. This is what they're looking for. Payback. Yeah. And you go out and you do that?
See, okay, but here's the other thing. Can I tell you a few things? I didn't want to do this. I want to talk about pro football. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it today. We'll talk about pro football. One, I don't want to hear about the calendar and circle and all that stuff. It's Ohio State, Michigan. That's implied. We get it. If you're the head coach at Ohio State, you're the head coach at Michigan, you know what the job requires. You are expected to have your team at a championship level. You're expected to recruit very well, and you're expected to beat either Michigan or Ohio State. That's just the way it goes. So I don't need to hear all the rah-rah stuff and, it's painful and our guy. I know it's painful for the fans too. We know. Just win. Ask Brady Hoke, who couldn't beat Ohio State. Ask John Cooper, who couldn't beat Michigan. Like you get the job done against that opponent, or you're out. See you later. All the stuff you do, the rest of the year doesn't matter. We know it. You don't have to tell us what we already know.
You know what's fascinating to me, though, is watching it from a fan standpoint. Think back to it. What was it? Jim Harbaugh had lost, was it 6 in a row or 8 in a row to Ohio State, whatever it was? Had never beaten them, right? Up until a couple last year, actually.
Last year.
And Michigan fans were ready to run him out. I mean, to run him out of the state. And then what did he do? He went back to his roots. And he said, this is what we do well. This is what my teams have always done well. And that's what? Be physical and be able to run the football. And once he went back to his roots and that became the identity of the program again, look at what's happened. Now, I'm fascinated to see how or if this is going to carry over to the college football playoffs. Because we saw last year it didn't mean anything when they beat Ohio State once they got to the tournament. And so I'm interested to see, is this a different team? And, at this point, I think outside of Georgia, it's wide open to me. I think Georgia's on another level than these other clubs. I call them clubs, programs.
Yeah. Call them clubs, call them programs, whatever.
They're good enough to be clubs.
And here's the last thing I'll say about this miserable experience on Saturday in Columbus, Ohio. Just miserable. Like, I had been so looking forward to it. I was so looking forward to it. Beautiful day where? Where was it beautiful? In Columbus. Was it beautiful where you were?
Well, no, the weather gods had kept the cold away and the moisture away, and you guys and your skill position players were supposed to put up a bunch of points.
It's the Midwest,
right?
It's the Midwest. It's Ohio. It's OHIO. We're fine with cold weather. I want big fat linemen with sleeveless. Okay, they don't have the long sleeves on. Go ahead. They got the scratch marks where you held them, but you didn't get called for it on the defense. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, we're comfortable in those conditions. We should be. But the last thing I'll say about it is, I don't even mind that Michigan planted its flag. Ohio Stadium. I don't mind it.
I do.
Nope.
I do.
No.
No.
You earned it. You earned it. Because look. I've been humbled. And when you're humbled, go out there. I want some guys. If you weren't out there for it, if you're wearing scarlet and gray, if you weren't out there for it, I want you. Go online. Look at that image right in the O, right in the middle of the O. Put it there because next year in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
But we heard all that next year, this year. We heard all that next year, this year, and what happened.
I'm not talking about all that. I don't need to be hyped up. I don't need to be hyped up.
No, Michael, hold on.
I don't need to be hyped up.
For me, when I saw this, I said, this is a step too far. Why? Because there has to be a level of respect among the programs, no matter how much you dislike each other. And I think back to the NFL and when Terrell Owens went out in the middle of the star and George T came flying in and knocked him down and whatnot. It's not different. It's a sign of respect or disrespect. You just don't do this. It's a step too far. You want to rub it in their face in the press conference after. I got no problem with that. It's all in the game. You want it, go do it. But to go out in the middle of someone's field and plant that flag, knowing the history of this rivalry, I just don't believe you do it. That's just me. I don't believe you do that. I believe Michigan, you have more class than that. Don't do it.
No, they don't have more. They don't have more class than that. First of all, you're giving them too much credit. Well, they don't have more class than that. And you win a game. But I wouldn't say this is classless. It's symbolic. Okay, we go back and forth. Ohio State, Michigan go back and forth. There is a level of respect. I don't know, and it wasn't made up. I don't know if you saw many shots during the game where somebody wearing a Michigan jersey was sitting right next to somebody wearing Ohio State jersey. They went to the game together. It's fine. You want your team to win. They want their team to win. But you can coexist like that. Doesn't happen in all rivalries, because believe me, Red Sox, Yankees, in the heyday, when people still cared about baseball, I said it. When people still cared about baseball on a really, really deep level, Red Sox, Yankees, and the Yankees used to chant 1918 to Red Sox fans, signifying the last time the Red Sox had won a championship. I mean, there was no coexistence. There was no healthy amount of respect. Anytime a Red Sox fan would go into Yankee Stadium, it was dangerous, and vice versa. I think this was
you're missing my point here. The respect that I'm speaking of is between the participants, not among fans. It's among the participants, and you simply don't do that. I think about NFL clubs and locker rooms, and you've been in locker rooms now where they will have their emblem on the carpet in the middle of the locker room. And if you step on it, it's a problem. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a problem. Why? Because that is a treasured symbol. There is a respect factor with that symbol. And that's all I'm saying here. I think kudos to Michigan for going out and dominating that game on the road. But to me, when you take the flag and you plant it in the middle of the opponent's logo there, it's just a step too far. It's not necessary. And I'm surprised, to be quite frank with you, that Ohio State players didn't respond to that at all. I'm just being real here.
You know why? You know why? Because they got more class than that, Jim. They got more class than that. Okay.
Okay.
These are
all right. You hang your hat on that, okay?
Yeah. Okay. I'll turn it around. These are some wonderful student athletes. They understand, and hey, maybe they'll have the opportunity. They can make the decision. You win by 20 points, 30 points. You can make the decision on how you're going to celebrate your victory, how you're going to punctuate it. Some people punctuate it with the flag in the middle of the logo. Some people just say, hey, we're going to the college football playoffs. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoyed the show.
You think a Jim Harbaugh coach team is going to allow an Ohio State player to go plant a flag in the middle of the block game?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have a couple of linebackers hold on to him. They're going to hold him. And I want him to come out there. I want him to have a front row seat to witness it. We're going to do it for Jim Harbaugh. We're doing it. This is for Harbaugh. I want him to say it. Boom. For Harbaugh. But for now, I can't talk that trash. Hail to the victors. Hail to the victors valiant. Hail to the conquering heroes. Those boys from Ann Arbor, they did that thing. Well, Jim Trotter, we go from scarlet and gray tears that I had on Saturday and Sunday and this morning and just before the show And let's talk about the tiers in the National Football League. You're writing about this, and this is the time of year. Jim, I love this. I mean, today is November 28th, so that means this week we hit December. And in December and January, because the regular season extends into January in the 23 calendar year, that is the opposite of hot take season. You really can't have your hot takes about NFL teams because now they start to reveal themselves a little bit more. Like the hot takes are easy to have in September, October, and parts of November. This team is great. We don't know. Might be, maybe not. This team sucks. We don't know. Maybe, might not. But December and January, it's truth. This is truth season. You really find out what teams are made of. And so you've got tiers. If you explain it to the audience, by the way, audience listening on SiriusXM Channel 85, podcast, watching on Peacock TV, we appreciate you. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays now to you and your family. If you can explain to the audience what you mean by the tier system that you've created.
Yeah, what it was is that my boss was gracious enough to not have me travel, during Thanksgiving week. So I'm watching the games at home, and I want to write for the weekend. And as I'm watching it, what do you always hear from coaches, Michael? And you know this. We always hear that the season really starts after Thanksgiving. That's when everything gets real serious. Not that the games don't count earlier, but that's where you kind of know who's who and what's at stake. And so as I'm watching it, particularly, for instance, watching Baltimore, I'm like, okay, I see these division leaders, but who are the ones who are really players here? Who are the ones that you can expect to really show up in Glendale for the Super Bowl? And some of them I thought, yeah, they're legit. And other ones I thought, nope, I just don't see it at all. And so what it came down to me, I just started thinking about it in terms of a relationship that you have. And all relationships are based on what at a foundational level? Based on trust.
Ooh, trust.
Do you trust these teams? And that was sort of the genesis of me writing what I wrote. And there were 3 teams that I trust a lot. There were 2 teams I trust a little, and there were 3 that I don't trust at all. So that was it.
All right, and using that relationship language, I'm going to argue with you based on some of your tiers, because I feel like in some cases, Jim, you're penalizing me for relationships in the past. They got nothing to do with me. I didn't do anything. And you're going to hold me responsible for some kind of scars you have. That's your issue. You need to deal with that. Maybe you're not ready for this relationship, Jim Trotter, because you're bringing some baggage. Or maybe my relationship,
but that baggage involves you from that previous relationship. Okay? It involves you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say, first of all, I'm going to go to the unfair points on the screen.
Go ahead.
You have under not at all. I agree with you. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 5-6. I don't even know why first of all, they don't even belong in this group. They are not an elite team. They've got the greatest quarterback who's ever played, but they're not an elite team on so many levels. But they can't score.
You're right, but let me pause you there for a second. And the reason I said in the beginning, this is about teams that can make a deep run. The Bucs can win a playoff game, and we've seen it before where we've seen.
Let me take your money right now.
No, take it then, because what have we seen? We have seen teams with sub 500 records or 500 records as division champions go in and win their playoff opener, right? We saw Seattle do it to New Orleans. No, we saw Seattle do it to New Orleans. We saw San Diego do it to Indianapolis. We have seen it before. So that's why I'm saying you can't rule out, in my opinion, a Tom Brady quarterback team for one game, right? So I wouldn't do it. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Bucs actually won one. They're not going to make a deep playoff run, in my opinion.
I would be.
So
I'd be shocked.
Okay.
I'd be shocked. But then again, not only did I have a bad week on Ohio State, Michigan, I had a terrible week on My Bets Your Money. So I shouldn't be saying anything. I should just be listening. I need to be in input mode, not output. Input. Just listen. Humble yourself, Michael. Humble yourself. But no, that's not even my biggest one. The 5-6 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My biggest one, you have the Vikings, who are 9-2, as not at all. You don't trust them at all. Now, let's just point out the Vikings lost early in the season on the road to Philadelphia. and they lost at home. They got beat down 40-3 by the Cowboys. And so they're 9-2, but think about what they've done. Go on the road, beat Buffalo. When they were down, they were trailing, had a comeback against a very good Bills team. And then after those devastating losses that I talked about, what do they do after they lose to the Cowboys 40-3? They come back against the Patriots. They were down several times in that game, came back and made some great plays to pull out a victory there. And then after the Philadelphia game, they went on a winning streak that ended with the humiliating Dallas loss. So I think I would switch places. Maybe if you want to go Vikings a little, I'd put the Vikings a little. But not at all seems harsh.
No, and it is harsh. I agree with that. And I thought long and hard about it, whether or not I should go not at all or a little. And again, I came back to what was the foundational element of this piece. Which teams can make a deep playoff run and land in Glendale? So if we're looking at the Vikings and they're going to be a division champion, which means what? To get to the Super Bowl, simply to get there, they will have to win 2 games. To win the title, they would have to win 3 in a row. My question is, can I trust Kirk Cousins to win 3 consecutive games? Can I trust him to win 2 consecutive postseason games? Something he has never done. And my answer was, if I'm being completely honest, is no. So that's why I couldn't put them in the little, and I said not at all. I cannot see a Kirk Cousins quarterback team winning 3 consecutive playoff games, knowing that in all likelihood, the final 2, one's going to be on the road and one's going to be in a neutral site.
You ever been in one of these relationships? Look, how long have you been married, Jim? How many years?
32 years, I believe.
Ooh, what a
I believe.
beautiful.
See, I got to think. When you get up there, you got to think about it, Michael. It takes a minute. 32.
Congratulations. 32
Thank
years.
you, sir.
32 years. Now I'm going way back before you were married. When Kamala Harris at Howard was asking you for a date, and you were like, "Nah, I don't know, Kamala. I just gotta work. I gotta focus on my newspaper career. You know, I really don't have time to be dating
No, I
the
was
future
dating
vice
my wife
president."
at that time.
Okay,
I was already
okay.
dating
Well,
my
that's
wife at that time.
Okay. Hey, I'm already spoken for. Future vice president
Yeah.
of the United States. I'm already spoken for. I'm sorry. I'm sure you have a great career in politics, but right now, Jim Trotter is a one-woman man. But before he got married, you ever be involved in one of these relationships or witness one of these relationships where somebody gets credit for things that they don't necessarily deserve? Like, you know, one of your boys is
Or
dating
blame.
yeah. You know, or you're dating somebody, you're like, but she hasn't really done anything for you. And you keep making excuses for her. You keep making space for her, but where is she when you really need her? Stevie Wonder says, "Where were you when I needed you last winter? Where are you right now? Where were you?" And that's the San Francisco 49ers to me. I can't believe you trust them. What have they done?
Oh.
What have they done to earn your trust? All like you and Chris Sims keep talking about
What?
the talent and the imagination of Kyle Shanahan and what they have the potential to be. They got the potential to be.
You just said to me, what have they done? Where were they? Where did their season end last year? They were a dropped interception from going to the Super Bowl a year ago, and they're only better this year. A few years ago, where were they? They were actually in the Super Bowl. Why are they better this year? Oh, that's easy. I mean, when you add a talent like Christian McCaffrey, number one, and makes your offense more dynamic. Number two, Brandon Ayuk, who a year ago at the start of the season was in Kyle Shanahan's doghouse, has come on to be one of their better players that no one even talks about. You add that with Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, etc. So anyway, offensively, Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have to carry the load. Now, let's flip it. Defensively, they are in the second year under coordinator DeMeco Ryans, who is going to be a head coach in this league. And what have they done of late? Think about this, Michael, now. Just pause for a second. 4 consecutive games now. 4 consecutive games. They have not given up a point in the second half. 4 in a row. So if you're asking me why I think the 49ers, I believe in them, and they are, I'm all in terms of them being able to make that run. Why? Because I see the talent, I see what they've done in the past, and I believe that they are that good if they stay healthy.
Okay. Jim.
Can't win if you can't score, Michael. Can't win if you can't score.
That's right. You can't win if you can't score. So that brings me right back to the guy you said he doesn't have to carry them. That would be James Garoppolo. Pretty Jimmy.
Yes.
Handsome Jimmy.
James is, and by the way, James is what he said his mom calls him. So,
well,
we all say Jimmy.
His
mom calls him James. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
You said earlier you don't trust Kirk Cousins to win 3 games.
Right.
For the Vikings in the postseason. And you said you talk
2
about
in
this
a
great
row.
defense. You talk about this great defense in San Francisco, but then you said you can't win if you can't score. So I know the San Francisco defense can shut people down to a degree. But when you start going up against elite competition, like you will in the playoffs, do you trust Jimmy Garoppolo to make, forget about carrying the team, do you trust him to make 4 or 5 on-the-money throws per game, critical throws in the clutch, just 4 or 5, that will get them over the top? Because I'm not saying he's got to put up like 30 points for him, but he's going to have to make some throws. We're going to say, Jimmy, no, it's on you, baby. You got to beat us. Do you trust him to lead San Francisco in that scenario?
Well, here is the answer to that. How many quarterbacks who will be in the playoffs do you trust to make those 2 or 3 plays? There aren't a lot. And number 2, the reason that I will put my money on Jimmy and ride with him right now is because he has gotten them there before. Again, got him to a Super Bowl and made a poor throw at the end that could have won him the game.
Well, he did. No, he didn't. He didn't. No, he didn't. No, he did not.
Here we go.
Jim,
here we go.
He didn't.
Go ahead.
He didn't.
Go ahead.
He didn't what?
He didn't what? I want to be clear what we're talking about.
He did not get them to the Super Bowl. He was along for the ride. He was a passenger on that plane, but he wasn't a pilot nor a co-pilot. He wasn't even in first class.
Michael, a quarterback in the Super Bowl, very rarely, I will not say never, but very rarely is simply a passenger. If you want to say Trent Dilfer was a passenger with that Ravens defense, you could say it.
And he was.
Jimmy Garoppolo, when they went to the Super Bowl, was more than just a passenger along for the ride with that team. He was. And I am not in any way saying that he was on a Tom Brady level or anything else, but he was more than just a passenger along for the ride with that offense. Think about what that offense had done before he got there that year, or when the trade was made, when he came into San Francisco. Think about how bad that offense was before he got there. And what happened when he got there? They started winning. He wasn't great.
I know.
But
I
he
know
did.
This. I know this.
He did. I know what you're doing. But go ahead. Go ahead. It's all good.
Come on.
It's all good.
Come on,
it's
Jim.
All good.
Jim. I know Deflategate happened here in New England, but the NFL should investigate Kyle Shanahan, who took the air out of the footballs with Jimmy Garoppolo, took the air out. They said, no, in the playoffs. Isn't this right? I don't remember the stats specifically off the top of my head. I just remember they got
You're talking about the Minnesota game.
By Jimmy. They got afraid of him. They didn't how many times did he throw it? 8, 10? They weren't going to let Jimmy Garoppolo throw the football.
Wait. I always love when that's brought up and they say, he only threw it 8 or 10 times. Raheem Mostert ran for over 200 yards in that game. Minnesota Vikings could not stop the run. Why would you throw the ball in that situation if it's not required? Okay. And again, I'm not saying Jimmy is Tom Brady, but I'm saying, to me, that's smart coaching. If I'm gashing a team, I am not going to all of a sudden say, let me stop running the ball just for the sake of it.
Okay.
Put it in the air.
All right, Gary.
Right?
Hey, Gary, let's put those tiers back up. Now we're going somewhere here, okay? Now I got some thoughts here. Spend the next couple minutes on this, and then we'll take a little break. All right, out of the tiers, the teams that you trust, Now imagine the quarterbacks for each of those teams and tell me, Jimmy Garoppolo, based on these teams I see right here, is second from the bottom. The only quarterback you trust less than Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm just going to speak for you, is Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, because you got Mahomes, you got Lamar Jackson, Cousins, Brady, Jimmy, Hurts, Tua, and then Tannehill.
Do you fully trust Lamar right now?
More than Jimmy Garoppolo, yes.
Do you okay. Okay.
Do I fully trust him? I trust him. The only time I don't trust Lamar Jackson is when he's on Twitter. Calm down, Lamar. Calm down. Don't feed the trolls. How many times have you been? Don't feed the trolls. Okay? What is wrong with you?
Oh no.
Don't listen. Don't listen to people. Don't listen to people like me. Don't listen to people who are calling you out after a game. That can only go left. And that one did. He deleted his tweet. But anyway, Lamar Jackson.
Athletes should never go on social media after a loss. Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Right. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah,
but see, Jim, this is a generational thing in a sense. Like, we didn't grow up with it. I always say this about social media. We didn't grow up, but you can remember being a teenager and there's no such thing as Twitter. Man, that makes us sound old. But anyway, you don't have to worry about
It's true.
You don't have to worry about Twitter. You don't have to worry about IG, Snapchat, anything. It's just you were able to live your teenage life or your young 20s, early 20s life without any kind of social media interference. And I think if I had that at 23 or 24, I probably wouldn't be sitting here now because I would have said a lot of worse things to people. I mean, it would have been bad. It just would have been bad. 23 or 24, it would have been bad.
Right. But let me say this about your argument, Michael, and this is where I think people get into trouble. Football is a complementary game. And so when we distill it solely to the quarterback, we tend to eliminate or forget about all the other factors that are involved in winning a football game. Jimmy Garoppolo may not be Tom Brady. Understatement of the year, right? He's not Tom Brady. But he does enough for what the 49ers require of him to make them a legitimate contender. And so I can look at his shortcomings and say that in other areas on this team, they are good enough to compensate or overcome for what some of his shortcomings are. And that's why I feel so good about San Francisco if they stay healthy. I have concerns right now. I'm starting to look at the running back position, and one's already gone down this past week. And then Kyle Shanahan said McCaffrey had some irritation in the knee, and that always concerns me knowing McCaffrey's history. So,
okay.
I'm sorry. Anyway, who won that game? Who won that game?
Yeah, you know,
who won that game?
You're right. It was San Francisco. They really had a great offensive day. They put up 13 points.
See, there you go again. There you go again. Looking at it through a very narrow prism.
Where are the lies? Narrow prism.
You're a narrow prism.
What's narrow? What's narrow about it?
It wasn't
Jim,
nothing. It wasn't required for Jimmy to do anything. They didn't give up a point. Jim, it didn't matter.
Let's say you weren't who you are, who's the astute football writer who's on top of everything. Let's say I'm your eyes and ears for you, and you say, hey, you know what? Hey, I had no internet access. Man, it's been a total blackout. Hey, tell me what happened. Hey, who won the 49ers game? I say, hey, man, the 49ers won. Mm-hmm. First thing you ask me, what was the score? The 49ers won 13-0. They won 13-0. Okay, that's not a narrow prism. I'm just giving you facts. They put up 13 points over 60 minutes.
First of all, they put up 13 points. They put up 13 points against a very good defense. Was it a great offensive showing? No, it was not. But it didn't have to be, Michael. They do enough in whatever game they're playing to win. That is what I'm saying to you. Football is a complementary game. And so if you are strong in there are weeks where the defense will have to carry the load, and there are weeks when the offense will have to carry it, and special teams will have to play a role as well. And sometimes all three have to be on top of their game for a team to win. So let's come back to this conversation in late January.
Yeah, we will.
And then I want you to explain to me when you see the 49ers in the NFC Championship game playing to go to the Super Bowl, then I want to hear what you're going to tell me.
And I have no problem with that. Because at 49ers, what I want to see, though, is not just the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. I want to see them win it so I can get out of this cycle of you 49ers people who are like, hey, they went to the NFC Championship game, and if not for a drop pass here, and if not for this, or if not for a fumble, if not for a bad call, the official did it. The fans did it. It's always.
But wait, you're the man just telling me that, ooh, look at that throw. They only won 13-0.
Yeah,
it's like they won.
Okay.
They won.
Okay. Yep. Good enough. Good enough.
I think Mike is able to process in a way where if that's what you give him, that's what he'll take. He'll play boring ball with you. He'll push the ball downfield if he has to, and he'll make very good decisions with the football, and he'll make them quick. He made the easy look easy, and that's I thought he did a really good job with that.
All right, look, Jim, that was Robert Saleh yesterday. Jets are now 7-4. Mike White, who comes in, like Mike White's first game, whenever his first game is with the Jets, it's always something big. It's always something gaudy that gets people's attention. Did the same thing last year before he fell off a bit. But Mike White has a way of making an entrance and replacing Zach Wilson and looking like he's a franchise quarterback. But this was a disaster scenario. If we're being real now, if we're being real for Zach Wilson, what he's supposed to say is, hey, I'm rooting for the team. Whether I'm starting or not, I'm rooting for the team. And if Mike does well, we all eat. But let's be realistic. That's his job. His job, it makes him look worse. I know different matchups, different opponent, what the degree of difficulty changes. Bears versus the Patriots the week before, but still, this doesn't look good for Zach Wilson. Do you think that he'll be the Jets quarterback going forward? If you had to guess, this time next year, who's the Jets quarterback, Zach Wilson or Mike White?
Well, first of all, I think we have to frame it correctly, like where you said, different week, different opponents. The Zach Wilson decision wasn't made solely based on the Patriots loss. It was based on how he had played in previous weeks as well. So despite the fact that they were winning, he had not played well. And he's a great poster player for this thing about wins or a quarterback. Quarterbacks are their greatness is decided on their one-loss record. I've never believed in that, good or bad.
I do.
Right?
I do.
No, I don't. So then when Zach Wilson was what, 5-1?
Let me push back though. Well, you do believe in it because you just talked about Jimmy Garoppolo. You used that whole argument with Jimmy Garoppolo. Hey, they won. He wins. So you do believe in that stat.
No, I don't. What I said Jimmy Garoppolo is not a great quarterback. I said he does what they need for them to win, which is different from he is a rising tide that can lift the performance of players around him. Very different. So with Zach Wilson, again, what I'm saying is when he had the one loss, what was he, 4-1 or 5-1 or whatever as a starter? It wasn't because Zach Wilson
lost to the Patriots. Yeah.
Right. I'm saying prior to that, they were getting by despite him, not because of him. Big difference. And so one of the things I love about this situation is, especially coming off to say the Jeff Saturday situation that we talked about and meritocracy and earning what you get and whatnot. I love that Robert Saleh said, I don't care that you were the number 2 pick in the draft, right? I have a larger responsibility here to the other 52 players in this locker room. And when you watched that game yesterday, what did you see? Based on the body language, the emotion, the energy, the spirit of those players, those other 52 players, they responded to Mike White, right? And that is more telling than anything. So from me, I think Mike White is going to be your quarterback going into the offseason. And depending on what they do, we could either have him as the starter going into 2023, or we can have Robert Saleh saying, you know what, we're going to open this up for a competition. But Zach Wilson has not done enough to earn the status as the starter going into 2023.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just want to, I agree that he has not played well despite the win-loss record. So 5-2 as a starter, you're right. 5-1 going into that Patriots game. They lose it. They have 2 net yards in the second half, which is just embarrassing. He throws for 77 yards. And I think the most damning quote of last week was Robert Saleh saying, the Patriots are good. Yeah, but you look at those numbers, he says it's not NFL football. Ooh, I knew he was going to lose his job then. He said it's not NFL football.
Absolutely.
It's just not. But
see, I knew it before he said that, Michael. I knew it before he said that.
What, was
I knew
it the
it
press conference that did it?
No, to me, it was the reaction of teammates. Robert Saleh, I believe, could have lost that locker room if he had stayed with Zach Wilson. Look, you know this. There's always that saying, game knows game. The players know who can play, and the coaches know who can play. And so if you're going to stand up before those 52 other players and say to them, Zach Wilson gives us the best chance to win, right away they're going to look at you and say, man, you ain't credible. You ain't credible.
Right.
And I say this, and I've said this to some GMs, including some who are in the running for the playoffs and the Super Bowl this year. We got towards a trade deadline. I remember saying to one of them, are you going to make a move? And he said, I'm not so sure. We got some cap issues, draft capital, this. And I said to him, you understand these windows don't open often, and they don't stay open all the time. And so there's a lot to weigh in that decision. And for Robert Saleh, as much as he and Joe Douglas are building the Jets out to be or building it to a place where they should have sustained success, nothing is guaranteed to you. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. So I say Robert Saleh had to make this decision because it might not come around again where they are in this position and have a chance to make a run in the playoffs or get to the playoffs and hopefully make a run from their standpoint.
Yeah, it's such an interesting decision, Jim. It's not just that he was a number 2 pick in the draft, Zach Wilson. It's the approach that the team took to building the team, to building their roster around Zach Wilson. I mean, it's like they got their quarterback. So they say, hey, we got our quarterback. He's got a big arm. We're going to bring in, so we have receivers. All of them wanted to get traded at one point. Hey, Denzel Mims.
What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Right. There you go. Okay. I wonder if the trade request, if Mike White, they say Mike White is a starter, we're opening up to a competition. I wonder if the trade request from Denzel Mims goes away, from Elijah Moore goes away. I like Elijah Moore a lot, by the way. They get Garrett Wilson in the first round this year. He had some things to say after that Patriots game. But they were building, they got receivers. They moved back into the draft, the same draft as Zach Wilson. They go get Vera Tucker, the guard from USC, to protect him. Everything they were doing seemed to be Zach Wilson-centric. And now, right. I'm sorry, Jim. Robert Saleh can say whatever he wants. I believe in Zach Wilson. I believe in Zach Wilson more than he does. I think it's over.
Oh, my God.
I think it's over there.
Over
there.
Thank you. I thought,
not for his career.
I thought you were. No. Agreed. I thought you were going to tell me you believe in Zach Wilson coming back next year as the starter.
Oh no, not there. Not there.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's over there, because not only did they say we need to reset him. They say, hey, we got to reset Zach Wilson. Okay, that'd be fine. My man was inactive for the game.
Right.
No, you didn't lose your job. You got demoted like 2 slots down. You're not the backup. You're an observer. And hockey, you know what they do in hockey? When you got that status, they're like, hey, go watch in the press box. And the press box in hockey is far from the team bench. Okay? It's far. It's usually like 7, 8 levels up. You got to take the elevator to get there. You can't just be like hanging out. No. So he is almost not a member of the team on game days. For them to have this performance like this, they're right back. They got themselves out of last place. So they're 7-4 now. Right in the thick of things. The game behind Buffalo and Miami. They have wins over both of those teams, Buffalo and the Dolphins. They've been restored. They feel like, ooh, we got some life here. We got some juice.
But that's my point. These windows don't always open or stay open. So you have to take advantage when the opportunity presents itself within reason. I'm not saying you go do stupid things, but within reason. When you have an opportunity, and in this case, it costs you nothing to make the change at quarterback. But look at how much you gained from making that move in terms of what it has done for everyone else in that locker room.
They're playing that music. We still got more stuff to say. I think you should come back tomorrow. Can you come back tomorrow, Jim Trotter?
For you, Michael Holley, I can come back tomorrow.
Ooh, that's brotherhood right there. Love you, man. So, Jim Trotter, back tomorrow. Brother from another. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you tomorrow. Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.